Hi everyone, let us continue with our course Computational Fluid Dynamics. Today we are going to have second session which is on CFD as a research and design tool. So these are the outlines, these are the outcomes of the session. So we will be able to define what is a design tool, then what is a research tool, and how can we justify CFD can be called as a research or a design tool, and we'll conclude the session with list of applications of CFD. So research tool. So a research tool is basically a method or a technique which is used to gather the information, interpret the data, and extract information which is required for the research purpose. So anything which is related to that can be called as a research tool. So research tool basically requires, it need not be a physical entity, it can be the technique or a method which is described so that we can analyze and interpret the data. And we can use that for understanding various aspects of the existing research and utilize this knowledge for the future activities of the problem. So there are various types of research tools depending on the various types of domains. So we can see analytical tools, search tools, experimental tools, and computational tools. Analytical, basically we can see it's commonly used in data analytics. And search tools, you can see Google is a search tool, one of the best search tool, how to improve it, how to develop it. And we have experimental tools like wind tunnel testing to understand the various concepts. And we have computational tools like CFD, so which we can use to understand the existing scenario, and based upon that we can suggest what are the improvements which we can make. So basically a research tool outlines the data and which helps in generating a conclusive remarks for the further process. So let us continue CFD as a research tool. Why we should consider CFD as a research tool? So it helps in providing detailed insight into the fluid dynamic problems without any physical prototype. Then it enables exploration of scenarios that are challenging or impossible to replicate. So various experimental setups are limited to a type of fluid dynamic problem. So we cannot conduct airfoil studies on a water tunnel as well as conduct the flow analysis over submarine in the wind tunnel. So based upon the criteria of flow problem, we have to conduct the experiment, and experiment based on the experiment nature, the equipment will always change. So CFD ensures that it can overcome the design challenges by optimizing the process of designing, wherein instead of conducting number of experiments with different number of models, you can eliminate or you can improvise the process by eliminating number of cases that are to be tested in experimentations. So we can even optimize the aerodynamic configurations of the designs using the CFD. So it helps in high precision and scalability for diverse research problems. Like you can conduct multidisciplinary problems where you have heat, high temperature flows involved. For example, studies of fluid flow inside the combustion chamber. So it has both requirements of flow analysis. At the same time, you should conduct the understand thermal behavior of fluid at such high temperature. So even those effects can be simulated. So the data can be extracted and understood for even the complex scenarios such as those. Then we have cost effectiveness of CFD when compared to experimental approach. CFD is very much cost effective as it eliminates the development of multiple prototypes and the cost which is involved in testing of those multiple prototypes. So you can reduce the number of prototypes which we are going to conduct experiments. So we can initially eliminate the designs which are not suitable for the given requirements. Then it provides rich visualization of data. So in this example, you can see how the flow is behaving around the person. So you can see the regions behind the cycle, how that is influenced. So region around the wheels. So how this data can be interpreted to improvise the performance of the cycle as well as the rider. Then we have understanding the multiple effects like fluid structure interaction. So unlike the experimental setup where we can conduct either flow analysis or a structural setup is required separately for conducting those flow analysis or structural analysis, we inside this CFD we have something called as fluid structure interaction, where we can couple the effects of fluid flow on the structural design. So coupling is possible in CFD. So let us come to design tool. So design tools are generally essential for creating, planning and visualizing a design. So there are different types of design tools again based upon the specific domains. One is graphic design, other one is 3D modeling tools, prototyping tools, then we have simulation tools. So we might have come across graphic tools such as Canva, which generally creates graphics like images or a video, those kind of stuff. Then we have 3D modeling tools like Fusion 360, AutoCAD. These are the 3D modeling tools. Then we have prototyping tools. We can say SolidWorks is a prototyping tool where we can create 3D printing, those kind of concepts. Those are prototyping tools. Then we have simulation tools such as ANSYS Workbench, which will be helping us in designing and developing new concepts. So CFD as a design tool. Then let us consider CFD as a design tool. So any design tool, as we say, requires to develop a solution for the problem. So with the advent of research data, whatever we are having with CFD as a source, we can develop a better design when compared to the existing design. So simply you can see the flow analysis over the F1 car, a model F1 car. So you can see the wake formation and flow pattern around the wheels of the aircraft. So this can be used to improvise the aerodynamic configuration of the vehicle. So CFD will reduce the number of prototypes as just now discussed, and it will reduce the time and cost for designing. So improvising overall efficiency of a design. So it not only optimizes the process of the design, at the same time it also saves the time and money which is involved in development of a particular design. Then based on the simulations what we obtain, it can be used to identify the major drawbacks or flaws in the present scenario or present design and overcome those challenges by performing iterations in the design improvements. So the iterations for design improvements will also be carried out very easily and very much quickly when compared to the experimental setup. So the data processing for the experimental setup will take a lot of time. So CFD being an alternate for the experimental setup, we can overcome the challenge of developing a new design by reducing the number of iterations for the improvement in the design. So that is about CFD as a design tool. So let us move to applications of CFD. So CFD has roots in various domains. Primary domain being the aerospace and space engineering, where we can simulate flow over the aircraft, we can simulate flow inside the ducts, we can consider HVAC, heating and ventilation. Then we can consider the flow inside the engines like compressor flow, turbine flow. So it has everything related with the aerospace. Anywhere their flow is involved, CFD is going to be a primary player or plays a key role in development of such designs. Then we have automobile engineering. We have been seeing various improvements in the designs of the automobiles like cars, bikes. So they are becoming more and more aerodynamic shape so that we can reduce the drag and increase the efficiency of the vehicles. So at the same time, even engine performance has been changing. We can study the combustion cycle of a particular engine using CFD, especially in automobile engineering. Then we have marine engineering, which will basically deals with water bodies and naval ships, submarines, and how we are going to design those things. So to simulate the flow. So here you can observe a submarine being simulated in the flow. Then we have a blade of a particular ship which is being analyzed to study the flow behavior. So these are the some of the areas where CFD is involved in marine engineering. Then we have energy industry, especially wind turbines. Nowadays, wind turbines are very commonly used in most of the regions, especially hill stations, to generate high power supply, to extract energy from the wind. Then we have biomedical. So we can study the flow behavior, that is especially the blood flow, or we can study the flow of fluid inside the muscles and other tissues inside the bodies using CFD. So for understanding the flow behavior of blood, we use non-Newtonian models in CFD. So that is another example. Then we have environmental engineering. For example, there is an industry, the smoke from the industry has to be deposited at a particular location where there is no household region, that is, it should be dumped into a forest or into a space where there is no person living. So in those areas, if it has to be done, then those analysis has to be carried out. Those also can be carried out using CFD. This is a summary of what we discussed. We defined what is a design tool and we defined research tool, followed by why we have to use CFD as a research, or why we have to consider CST as a design tool. Then we have studied about various disciplines across which CFD has applications. So that's it for today. Thank you.